Hey guys, welcome to Megan's Wreath Boutique. Thank you for tuning in to watch this tutorial on how I turn these two Dollar Tree wreath forms into a swag wreath form. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, you're going to need two Dollar Tree candy cane wreath forms. And I was just clipping off the tags right there. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to flip them opposite of each other to make an oval. You might have to bend them in a little bit to make them line up a little better. Don't bend them too hard because they will break. Okay, once you have them lined up pretty good together, you're going to want to grab a zip tie. You're going to need two for each side. And what I started to do here was just zip tie that outer ring, but then I realized that it would be more secure if I grabbed two of the rings and zip tied those together. So make sure you're getting two of the outer rings in that zip tie just to make it a little more secure. And then you just pull the zip tie tight, and I'm going to leave the top of the zip tie on the top of the wreath form just because I don't want that part that's going to be clipped off to be poking through the back of the wreath form. So once you have your wreath forms good and zip tied together, you're going to want to clip off the long portion of your zip tie, and where I was just pointing, I was just emphasizing to leave that point of the zip tie up on the top of the wreath form, so it's, like I said, it's not scratching anything on the bottom of the wreath form. So go ahead and do the same exact thing to the other side, just as we did to the first side. I accidentally just zip tied that first ring just like I told y'all not to do. So don't do that. Don't forget to not zip tie both of the rings together. It still seemed pretty secure, so I didn't worry about taking it apart and re-zip tying it together. Okay, so there you have it. There is your swag wreath frame. And what you're going to want to do after this is you're going to want to add your chenille stems. And the way I like to add my chenille stems is I use hot glue. You do not have to use hot glue. I just feel like it helps secure the chenille stem to the wreath form so it's not moving around on you when you're adding your deco mesh. Also, I'm going to be wrapping the chenille stems around two outer rings, again, just like we did with the zip ties. And this is just going to help the deco mesh sit on top of the wreath instead of on either side of the wreath. If you were just to grab one of the rings, it would sit on kind of the sides of the wreath frame instead of on top of the wreath frame. And I have a more detailed tutorial on how I do my wreath frames. I'll try and link it in the description below, but basically what I'm doing here is just spreading the chenille stems out about 5 inches apart from each other just to give an even look to the deco mesh. And I'm going to be alternating between the outer rings and the inner rings every other chenille stem. All right, once you get done adding your chenille stems to your wreath frame, you're going to want to start adding your deco mesh. And how I like to add my deco mesh is I cut these specific strips in 20-inch long strips, and I needed 14 because that's how many chenille stems I was able to fit onto my wreath frame. Also, I'm using 10-inch deco mesh. Alright, so the next step is you're going to want to add your deco mesh to your wreath frame, and how I'm doing that for this wreath is I'm just going to curl in both ends of the deco mesh and then scrunch down the middle. This will kind of give you I guess a flatter look for your deco mesh, and I think some people call this method the pancake method. I could be totally wrong, but it does come out a little flatter. So if you're not going to be adding a bunch of ribbon or signs or accent pieces to your wreath, you're probably going to want to use a little bit of a different method to kind of fluff up your deco mesh a little more, just to make it more full for your wreath. And here I'm trying to decide which way to turn the deco mesh, just to see which way I like it the best. So again, just curl in this first end, and then I scrunch down the middle and curl in the other end. You just curl it like once or twice. You don't want to curl all the way through the whole deco mesh, obviously. And then add it to your chenille stem, and I just twist it once or twice. And you're not going to want to cut off the tips of the chenille stem yet, because I go back through and add ribbon. Like I said, if this is not something you're going to do, you can go ahead and cut off those excess pieces and kind of twist and hide them so they're not sticking out in your wreath. I'm just kind of playing with it here to see which way it's going to look best, and I decided to do like a horizontal lay for the deco mesh, and I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know down in the comments if you are new to wreath making or if you've been making wreaths for a while. I would love to know what my audience is looking for, and if there's any videos that you would like for me to create, just let me know. I've pretty much learned everything I know from watching other creators, wreath makers, make their wreaths. So I like making these videos if they're helpful for other people, and especially using not cheaper materials, but yeah, in a sense, cheaper materials to make the same great wreaths that the expensive materials make. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe, because I do try and pick the most inexpensive materials to use. So I hope that's something that helps others, and if it does, be sure to give this video a like. Okay, so I skipped videoing a few steps, but here is the final piece. Again, if this is something that you enjoyed, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you would like a more in-depth video on how I add my ribbon, bows, accent pieces, anything like that, please comment below, and that's something I'll take into consideration. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.